friends, and welcome back to another video. Right now I'm in the very south of Germany, somewhere close to the border to France, and today something really exciting is happening. It could easily become the most exciting day of the year for me personally, but you'll find out in a minute what that's gonna be about. Right now I have to get my bag and we're gonna get on the way and drive about 1 hour into France. I'm really excited for it.
2 minutes to explain.
So right now we're gonna jump into the bus and then there's gonna be a lot of cycling involved today. Spoiler.
'Cause I'm already on my way.
And well, as you'll probably get to know in today's video, I'm a massive cycling fan. And for everyone who's into cycling, July is the month of the year because it's time for the biggest professional cycling race in the world, the Tour de France. I still remember when I've seen it first live back when I was like 14 years old. I got completely hooked, and every single year since, my month of July has basically been blocked for sitting in front of the TV, wishing I could go there again and watch it in real life. And that's exactly what would happen today. See that label on my shirt? This trip's only happening thanks to Tissot, one of the main sponsors of the Tour de France, who invited a handful of media people and content creators to a special event on the first mountain stage of this year's Tour de France. And somehow I happened to get invited. So altogether we headed about 2 hours into France to start the program of the day.
To explain. You better come up with something smart to say.
So we just made it off the bus, and now the first thing that's gonna happen today is that we actually get to cycle ourselves. Because what we're doing today is like a little bit of a special event. It's called Inside Tour de France, and we get to cycle on the last, I think, 2 climbs of today's stage on electric bikes. The lazy man's way, but at least that's gonna make it a little easier to go up those 2 mountains, because it's gonna be exactly the last 2 mountains of today's Tour de France stage, and it's gonna be a mountaintop finish.
And so after a couple of instructions, we were all ready to jump on our bikes and hit the road. Not gonna lie though, I shamelessly used that turbo mode on my e-bike.
So they're even giving us an official start and finish line.
And I guess we looked kind of funny with those helmets, didn't we? But hey, safety first, right? And so the next hour we spent making our way up and down the first climb. Pretty cool actually to ride the exact track that the race would pass by later on. All the roads were already packed with fans that came despite the rainy weather. And after a little pit stop, it was time to hit the final mountain, where the stage would finish today. It started steep, in between got steeper, and became ridiculously steep in the very end. And I guess if it hadn't been for the e-bikes, certainly not all of us would have made it to the top. The last kilometer even went on gravel road, which would make it even more difficult later on for the pros. Pretty epic mountain finish. Eventually we made it to the top of the climb and crossed the finish line.
So this exactly is where the race is gonna finish later on. We just made it into the tower where there's the control center, where they're taking the time later, where they have the finish line cameras.
The finish from yesterday.
So those cameras take about 10,000 pictures per second, and then they create a final film where you see exactly who was first, second and third.
But now, time to watch the pros and actually see some serious cycling.
So while our own cycling program is pretty much over now it's time to start watching the race. It's like a super small finish up there. It goes all the way up there to the mountain. That's where we just came down. And you wouldn't even believe how many trucks are here. The entire organization of the Tour de France. It's crazy.
Stage 6 will give us a clearer picture of the strongest contenders for overall victory this year as the riders tackle La Planche de Belles Filles for the 4th time since 2012.
I think 1.5 or 2 more hours until the pros are going to finally come in. We've now made it to the VIP area. We'll probably have the best view here. We're about 1 kilometer from the finish line, and here's really where the magic is going to happen and where the favorites for the Tour de France will really battle each other.
Movistar coming to the front as the peloton finally started to up the tempo as the gap began to tumble.
And what makes something like the Tour de France really special, and what gets me so excited to be here today, is that this is like the biggest happening in cycling in the entire world. And there's so many people coming together, standing directly on the road. You don't need to have a ticket, you just come here, stand on the road, cheer for the riders, and stand right from where they're passing. When you watch the Tour de France on the TV, the one thing that you usually don't realize is how much logistics and how many trucks and how much organization is behind this entire event. All these trucks here, you can see TV trucks, organization trucks, all those tents. There's simply so many cars, so many vehicles. and all the organization that's happening around this. And I'm always surprised that they can organize something this big that smoothly. So the road is out filling up with more and more viewers, and the helicopters are starting to circle around here now. So that means tension is rising and getting really excited for when the pro is going to come through here. But let's go back down again, maybe see if we can find a couple more snacks. So, and of course I'm not the only one today invited by Tissot. I want to introduce you to someone, and he's the reason probably why I'm here actually in the first place. This is Daniel. Daniel has a cycling blog and a YouTube channel called Speedville. And the only reason actually that I'm here is Daniel basically, because 2 months ago, I don't know if you remember, but I already made a cycling video this year. I'm probably gonna link it up somewhere in that corner, and Daniel has seen it. And after that we decided, hey, we're probably eventually gonna do something together, right?
That's true.
And so he was already invited by Tissot and told them, hey, there's this guy who's also excited about cycling.
And now we are here somewhere in France.
Somewhere in France where we have no actual idea where we are.
Planche de Belles Filles.
And that is the rest of the group. And so now pretty much for the next 1.5 hours, I guess, we're gonna eat up everything that you can find here for snacks in the VIP area, waiting all excited for when the pro is gonna come up the mountain.
So, current race situation. There's one group in front and they have 5 minutes of an advantage. And it's about 22 kilometers more to go. That means that they're now cycling exactly where earlier we went on the electric bikes.
But since the Tour de France is all about the general classification, who wins the yellow jersey in the end, today at that mountain in the end that we're at right now, probably all the favorites for the general classification will really battle each other. That means that whoever gets up here fastest, the time in the end will be stopped, and all those times every single day will be added up. And then whoever arrives in 2.5 weeks from now in Paris with the shortest amount of total time is going to be the winner of the Tour de France with the yellow jersey. A brief rundown for each one of you who has never watched any cycling race or Tour de France before. You can really start seeing the massive suffering that starts now. The front group is now exploding, and in the back they're already starting to chase really hard. Tension's rising. French people are just getting really excited because the French champion has just tried to launch an attack. The advantage is, as you can hear back there, the group is still in front, but the advantage is melting down. Really not possible to predict yet if the guys in the very front of the race are going to make it. And that's, by the way, for all those of you who have never watched a cycling race, is what makes it really, really exciting, because most often you'd never know until the last seconds or so who's actually going to win the race. Now is the moment where it's getting serious. About 700 more meters to go, then the guys in the very front are going to pass by here. And it's two guys in the front now that are probably going to be battling for the final victory today.
And in the end, it was a two-horse race for victory. Turns against Ciccone. Turns finally shook off Ciccone to win.
It's his first tour. It's his biggest career victory, and didn't he deserve it?
Okay, and now the French people are completely losing their shit because the French guy is trying to get out of the group of the favorites. He's the one in the yellow jersey, so he's the leader in the overall classification.
Allez, Julian Alaphilippe qui va tenter de sauver son
Ciccone will get there. He hasn't made it. Alaphilippe loses yellow. It's Ciccone who is the new leader.
So that was a pretty epic finish. The French people got really excited when the guy in front, Julian Alaphilippe, tried to get away from all the other favorites. Now we have one task, and that is to get out of here as quickly as possible, because the entire mountain is going to be locked up so quickly, so we need to get the first shuttle that goes down. Otherwise we're going to take 3 hours until we get down here.
Gotta do my hours, do my hours.
We're definitely not the first ones we're packing together. They've already started moving everything. Because you need to think about tomorrow is the next stage, so that means that in 2 or 3 hours everything here is going to be empty again, and then they will drive all the trucks to that next stage finish, and then the entire thing is going to start tomorrow again.
'Cause I remember growing up, we rode our bikes all over town, spending all our cash on candy.
And I guess this concludes a pretty exciting one-day Tour de France event.
So, back at the hotel. Tomorrow we're actually gonna see the start of the next stage, but that you'll maybe see in one of the next videos. A massive thanks in the end goes to Tissot, who organized all this here and invited us to come over. And I hope all those of you who watched it and who are not so deeply into cycling, hope it was a good insight for you to see what's actually happening if you go and watch some huge event like the Tour de France in real life. If you enjoyed watching this video, drop a like below, and I guess this was certainly not the last cycling video you've seen on my channel. Until next time.
Sunny days replaced with weekends.